Now, Lewis, do we have time to get into the oil spill?
We do. Let's do it.
The oil spill. Tony Hayward, we mentioned last week, the CEO of BP. We heard rumors that he was going to resign. Now, of course, BP denied those rumors. They said that's not true. He is not going to resign. It's simply not true. Well, since we did last week's show, Tony Hayward, CEO of BP, has in fact resigned. Who is going to replace Tony Hayward? The guy's name is Bob Dudley. Many are saying they are, quote, relieved that Dudley is taking over and that he is, quote, just what the company needs. He is going to be the first American to run BP. If his name sounds familiar, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, big surprise, they hire an American to replace.
Right, it may be a PR thing. You're right. But if the name sounds familiar, remember the first interview that a BP higher-up did? It was with Anderson Cooper on CNN. The guy's name was Bob Dudley, and he said, you know what? It doesn't matter how much oil is spilling. It is of absolutely no consequence how much oil is spilling. I don't know how much oil is spilling. It's simply not important. Bob Dudley, the first American who is now going to be in charge of BP, who will be cleaning up the largest oil spill in history, is the same person who initially indicated that BP may be incompetent, hiding things, and avoiding questions. Right? And we knew that why? Because of the disastrous Bob Dudley interview with Anderson Cooper. He is now going to be in charge of BP. How is that a relief to anybody?
Well, you could look at it two ways.
Tell me about the two ways.
He wants to turn things around, maybe.
He's so embarrassed by saying it doesn't matter how much oil is spilling that now he's going to do a good job. That's one way to look at it. And what's the other way? That we're in trouble.
Right.
That seems to be the only other way.
Right.
Also horrifying. 2 new oil spills. Crews were working on Tuesday to contain and clean up more than 800,000 gallons of oil that poured into a creek and flowed into the Kalamazoo River in southern Michigan, coating birds and fish. The oil leaked on Monday from a 30-inch pipeline built in 1969 that carries about 8 million gallons of oil per day from Griffith, Indiana to Sarnia, Ontario. The Kalamazoo River does eventually flow into Lake Michigan, but officials don't expect the oil to reach the lake. Now remember, BP officials didn't expect the oil to reach the shore either. Just keep that in mind. Did you hear about this oil spill, Lewis?
Not about these. I heard about the one in China.
Well, and I don't even have that on my list. And here's another one. A barge slammed into an abandoned well in the coastal mud lake early on Tuesday. This is Louisiana, sending a shower of water, natural gas, and oil 100 feet into the air. Emergency officials said about 6,000 feet of containment boom, we know from experience how well that boom works, was put in place around the site in a lake just north of Barataria Bay, which has already been fouled by oil from the previous oil spill in Mexico. Bad luck for Louisiana, huh? With these oil spills.
It's terrible.
I was watching, I don't know if anybody's seen this, on CNBC, I think it was last night, a special about nuclear power. And it was pretty interesting. Of course, there are a lot of questions about what do you do with that final waste. France, actually, and this is just, it was fascinating. France is actually taking the spent uranium and plutonium, and they are actually able to recycle 96% of it. It's not without controversy, though. It's not the same as using new uranium when you use the recycled stuff, but it is interesting that France seems to have a completely different PR outlook and kind of understanding among the citizens about nuclear power than here in the U.S., even though the special did say that there is not evidence that it is any safer in France, that regulations are safe. I don't think that is the direction that we want to be going, but it just is interesting now. The anti-oil evidence and incidents are mounting one after another, are they not?
They are. I don't really know, what the numbers look like, how big the anti-oil group is and how big the anti-nuclear group is, but I've always been a fan of nuclear.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And we have a friend who works at a nuclear plant.
That's right. We do. And he's not allowed to talk to us, unfortunately.
Nope.
Well, we're going to get to plenty more, including an incredible story about faith healing still going on in Oregon. People praying instead of taking their kid to the doctor. It's abuse, by the way. Stay tuned, midweekpolitics.com.
You've been listening to Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Midweek Politics is made possible in part by CSR Wire, the corporate social responsibility newswire at csrwire.com, by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.